If you are, I'm sorry, but all right. Now, my voice is going through. Let's try a Lexio practice, okay? This Lexio practice is going to be a little different. It's a Lexio practice taught to me by Blake Burleson. He's a professor out of Baylor who's done quite a lot in my life for contemplative practice, and so I'll break it down. It's very similar. We'll do our first reading just like normal. You'll be listening just for basic comprehension of words, not digging too deep into any meaning. As you hear it through the second time, you begin to maybe, let's use another metaphor, taste the words, to allow the meaning to kind of sink in, to start to allow a word or a phrase to attach itself to you. Where the change comes in is after the third reading. After the third reading, we will actually have a moment to share our word. I'll make sure we'll figure out a way to make that happen. But you'll share your word, and then the interesting thing is everyone else in the group will share how they hear that or what comes to mind when they think of that word, either in context of the Lexio or just in a broader sense. So you'll only be able to hear others' voices that define your word for you. And then after the last fourth reading, it'll just again be a time for reflection and some silent meditation with some journaling questions if you like. So with that, we will give this a go. I'll read through the chant, like I said, 4 times. After the third will be our interactive portion. So in that time, I'll start off with the word that's attached to me. I'll give an opportunity for those here to share what it means to them. And then we'll do that for each of you. This will kind of take place of our sacred listening today. So, but again, here we go. This is from the Jesus Sutras, text by Martin Palmer. In it, there are many sutras, translations truly of the gospel into sutras suitable for this Buddhist Christian kind of congregation, a monastery in China. So as the scripture worked its way east, it was seen in different forms, one of my favorite being these called the Jesus Sutras from, I believe the community was around 700 or so AD is when it was thriving. But this is from one of the sutras called the Great Liturgical Sutra. Wanting to hear the words that would save them, Simon spoke up and said, "We don't know the truth, and we need salvation." The Messiah replied, "So good. Everything that exists needs the true law, and every kind of person can find what's just below the surface, buried deeper than our eyes. The truth is like looking at the white of the moon in water. If the water is cloudy, you can't see it clearly. It's like burning straw in a fire. If the straw is wet, the fire cannot burn brightly. Spiritual life can be hidden and dampened like this. So, Simon, if anyone wants to follow the way of triumph, they must clear their minds and set aside all wanting and doing." Wanting to hear the words that would save them, Simon spoke up and said, "We didn't know the truth, and we need salvation." The Messiah replied, "So good. Everything that exists needs the true law, and every kind of person can find what's just below the surface, buried deeper than our eyes. The truth is like looking at the white of the moon in water. If the water is cloudy, you can't see it clearly. It's like burning straw in a fire. If the straw is wet, the fire can't burn brightly. Spiritual life can be hidden and dampened like this. So, Simon, if anyone wants to follow the way of triumph, they must clear their minds and set aside all wanting and doing. Wanting to hear the words that would save them, Simon spoke up and said, "We didn't know the truth, and we need salvation." The Messiah replied, "So good. Everything that exists needs the true law, and every kind of person can find what's just below the surface, buried deeper than our eyes. The truth is like looking at the white of the moon in water. If the water is cloudy, you can't see it clearly. It's like burning straw in a fire. If the straw is wet, the fire can't burn brightly. Spiritual life can be hidden and dampened like this. So, Simon, if anyone wants to follow the way of triumph, they must clear their minds and set aside all wanting and doing." The word that stuck for me, or words, were deeper than our eyes. Again, there are no wrong or right answers here, but feel free to share what comes to mind when you hear deeper than our eyes.
Looking with a second eye, not physical eyes, looking deeper and asking a question.
Looking under the surface.
It's like what you see with your eyes closed.
Thank you. Phrase stuck out to you.
Oh, burning straw, wet straw.
Smelly.
Was that her? Smelly was the phrase there. Michelle, when you hear wet straw, what comes to mind?
The other, the smell of it.
Is it the same? The frustration of trying to light a campfire when all the wood is wet. There's just this, for me, there's a feeling of, I wish I could have this warmth, this light, but the timing is off.
What am I? What was it? Look at that. Life can be hidden.
Life can be hidden. Michelle, do you have a response or a thought?
I think it's like if you try to see something, then you can't. And so the end, clear the minds. You're trying to avoid. It's not like
I think when I hear life can be hidden, my first thought was like an aqueduct or water running under the surface, potentially even like Mars. And there's this hidden ability of growth in what might seem dead.
It has to do, I look at it as where is the attention? Being aware that many layers exist in one's life at the same time. But where's my attention at the moment?
Michelle, would you like to share your phrase that stuck with you?
you must clear your minds.
I think first of there's a Taoist idea, Wu Wei, to do without doing. I feel the cloudy water, the more you're trying to clear your mind, the more you're messing it up. Just settling, I think, is what comes to me.
That phrase is the same as the Taoist phrase was the same thing in my mind. But yeah, again, I look at attention. In order to clear my mind, my attention has to be, I have to stop the need to desire. And I can't do that by willpower. I have to allow my attention to change from the desire to not desiring. But that's not willpower.
Like a whiteboard, blackboard in a whiteboard, clearing off the what's on the board so that you can start anew or something else. But then there's always the remnants on the whiteboard, a little remnant there. Chalkboards, you could erase everything. But the whiteboard, there's always that little residue.
Perfect. Well, thank you all for trying a new take on Lectio, or at least the first stage of this. I loved to hear everybody's take on what sticks to us spiritually. Again, I will read through one last time our scripture here, sutra, and then I will put up a few questions, and we'll have a time, this time for silent reflection on those. Wanting to hear the words that would save them, Simon spoke up and said, "We didn't know the truth, and we need salvation." The Messiah replied, "So good. Everything that exists needs the true law, and every kind of person can find what's just below the surface, buried deeper than our eyes. The truth is like looking at the white of the moon in water. If the water is cloudy, you can't see it clearly. It's like burning straw in a fire. If the straw is wet, the fire can't burn brightly. Spiritual life can be hidden and dampened like this. So, Simon, if anyone wants to follow the way of triumph, they must clear their minds, and set aside all wanting and doing. Amen. All right. As we come back together, we will do our last practice for the evening, which is our gratitude practice. Here we find something in our lives that feels particularly alive, something we have currently experienced that we are grateful or thankful for. And now the hard part, to do your best to put that into a single word. You have your word, and or if you would like to share and are ready, you may share whenever. I will for this ease of our stream today, repeat what has been shared in this room. We're thankful for reading. Oh, Wesley is thankful for reading.
Thinking for pets. Kindness.
Claudia is thankful for kindness. I'm thankful for family. Thank you all for sharing and for your patience in this new endeavor to stream and do hybrid meetings. It's a blessing that we have all of this technology and things to be able to meet no matter where we are and do things. And that we have minds capable of figuring it out no matter how long that may take. So it has been a lovely night. I will we'll close with our saying of, we have a word we use, namaste, for those who have never joined us before. It is a Hindu word. It really illuminates the divine, the God, and the holy in me, acknowledges, appreciates, and sees that same divine, holy, and God in you. And so with that, I say namaste. All right, that will be our close for this evening. With more practice, we will have in the future times to just remain here and settle with some music. But just a reason for you to come back next time. So you have something to look forward to. But with that, thank you all for being here and practicing with us. It's a pleasure to be able to do it. You will? Mm-hmm. Right. Bye-bye, everyone.